Hello everyone, welcome back to Sky Craig, and I'm Razgriz. In between episodes, I did take some time and cleaned up some stuff. I had already played with setting up the first few things we need to get into steel. I have broken all of that down, as I'm going to go and try and find a little bit cleaner way to set it up. I also moved the coke oven a little bit forward and down a block, still with the same setup. I also extended the smelting a little bit to help smelt some materials. Also found out how to use the conveyor module. You have to right click it on a pipe and then use a screwdriver to set it to, in this case, import from the storage container and send it into the connected storages. I also found out by reading one of the tooltips, or it's not tooltips, but quest things, about how to make all of our tools indestructible by simply using a netherite block, which you can get by smelting 36 ancient debris, and using that to make the netherite bricks, using that in gold. It does take 36 netherite scraps and gold to make the 9 ingots that you need to then make into 1 brick. And conveniently, this recipe is not gated behind the compressor, I believe it is. So, all you have to do is place the brick, or block of netherite in the world, and right-click on it. And it will make any item that has durability indestructible, or unbreakable. Which is going to be very useful. I did wish I had noticed this a little sooner. Netherite, the ancient debris isn't the hardest thing to get. It will be a little slow depending on how many tools you want to make unbreakable at first. But once you get steel, there'll be a much easier way to get the netherite needed. I also found that there is a butchery knife that comes with looting 3, which is great for killing mobs and farm animals, as I was able to get enough leather to make a tool belt, along with the belt pouches. I will need an anvil to apply the pouches to the belt, so those will just go sit on hand for the time being. I also made a backpack and upgraded it all the way up to the golden tier, which you can do from either the copper or iron backpack, which is just a regular backpack, using some string, a box, and some leather. And then it's a pretty simple backpack. Just has more slots. And then the next upgrade requires glass, which is gated a little behind the alloy smelter. So, one of the first things we're going to need to start out with our steam is we will need bronze, which is crafted by using copper dust and tin. You get the dust forms by using a mortar and the ingot. And then just craft them up. And they go in. They can only go in a regular furnace. They don't have a recipe for the blast furnace, so it is a bit slower to smelt up. But once we've gotten some steam generating and some tools made, you can also make these in the alloy smelter, using the same ratio of copper to tin. So one of the first things we're going to need to get sorted out is the primitive pump. The primitive pump is created with treated wood. Treated wood you get from using the buckets of creosote and crafting them with a plank. And in the early game, it is a very tedious recipe to craft, but much necessary. And then from there, you need 10 treated wood frames, which are created from, you get 2 per every 8 treated sticks, and treated sticks you get by using the saw and 2 treated planks. The pump deck is made with the iron screws, treated wood, and some cobblestone slabs. Cobblestone slabs you can use making from a stone cutter. The primitive pump is just some more basic tools along with a large fluid pump, which is created using a mallet and a saw and some planks. And the hatch, which is where we extract the fluid, again, some more simple parts. And then this is a multi-block. It is built like so. The pump goes here. The hatch you want to have facing downward. And then these 3 slots, followed by one here, here, and here, which will create your primitive pump. And then I have to, this one happens to already be boiled water, but you just recraft it, then blank out the fluid that's in it, and you can see we're getting fluids added. In this case, water. Then to get the buckets to, or barrels to extract, use a screwdriver on the bottom. And that will allow you to move water to a different object. Now, what we need to first off is the steam boilers. These need to be full of water before you add a fuel into them, or else they explode. Which I haven't actually tried yet. At least I've been told they explode. I have no idea how long, what temperature it needs to get to before it does so. Maybe it's by adding water in after it's gotten hot. These ones are powered by a solid fuel source, which I'm going to start out with using the charcoal. And then one of the first uses of the bronze that we're making is the bronze drum, which can store steam. The bronze drum is just created from some long bronze rods, which are with the same crafting as the long iron ones, and just a couple of plates. The first steam machine we need is the alloy smelter. The alloy smelter is what will allow us to create different alloys. For example, like the red alloy ingot, which we'll need to make pistons, and bronze, which is needed to make these machines. So I'm gonna make 2 more of these. Then making sure that the bottoms are set to extract. Not used to getting these guys, but I'll take the chance. Get some into membranes. So simple as putting it in. Now, if this does run out of steam, it will stop producing. It does not remember its progress. It just flat out resets if it runs out of steam. Oh yes, one thing I did forget. These do need to be able to release steam, which this cannot do. Which means I'm not going to be able to do this compact. So we can see the small pipes are not cutting it, it seems, as they're not able to move enough steam. So only one of mine is seems to be getting consistently powered. Let's replace it with the normal ones and see if that helps. So what I ended up doing is just switching the bottom half with the normal ones, which can move 36 mil buckets a tick versus the 12 mil buckets a tick the small ones can move. And then you can attach these small ones to other sized pipes as well. Then we just have to watch and see if our water, and it looks like it's very easily keeping up. Now that we have the alloy smelter sorted out, we can work on making a macerator using the bronze and some diamonds and pistons, which we can now make now that we have the red alloy. A steam compressor and a forge hammer. So for the macerator, basically for all these we just need to be able to make pistons and an anvil. The anvil, we do need iron blocks, which is made using the compressor. Or later we could potentially use the casting mold, but being as how that requires steel, that's not really a route that it can be taken easily. So let's make 3 more of these. So the macerator is used to make different dust. For example, it could be used to make the clay dust, the brick dust, gypsum. It can also, oh, that was the forge I'm thinking of. So, an example craft. If I had actually connected these. Get steam. This just uses one LT. I haven't quite figured out what an LT is. Well, blade dust. You can just use clay. Then using the steam compressor, we will be able to make iron blocks. And using the iron blocks, we can make an anvil. Now, we can use that anvil to make another forge hammer if we'd like, or I'd like to do is upgrade the tool belt. And then there is a keybind. I don't know what the default is. I set it to Shift R so that you can get to your tool belt slot, and then you can then use that to insert your tools. I have R set to the wheel menu. So for the primitive blast furnace, we're going to need fire bricks. To make the fire bricks, first have to make a fire brick, which is made from fire clay dust, which is clay dust and brick, and then you have to run that through a compressor. After that, you have to cook it in a furnace, and then to make it into the actual blocks, you need to use gypsum dust, which can be obtained by smelting raw gypsum, and with liquid concrete buckets. Concrete buckets is made with stone dust, clay dust, quartz sand, and calcite dust. Quartz sand you can get from either from macerating sand or using the grindstone, a mortar. And then the calcite dust is from smelting raw calcite. And then one of the key uses of the forge hammer is to make plates. So this recipe takes 3 ingots instead of the 4 you would use need by using a hammer. Make 2. So I apparently muted my microphone when I was recording this set of clips. So I'm going to try my best to repeat what I probably said and explain what you need to make the blast furnace. So some of the stuff you'll need is the quartz sand, which you get from mortaring sand. It's blast bricks, or the fire bricks, or just the individual fire bricks with concrete buckets and gypsum. For the buckets of concrete, you use the quartz sand, stone dust, calcite dust, and clay dust. You also need a bucket and bucket of water. So, for the layout of the blast furnace, it is a 3x3x4 with the middle blocks being empty, with the exception of the bottom. The blast furnace will go in the bottom front middle, and in this design, I have 4 of them side by side. I will note that there is no way to auto-extract this from this. You could hopper into the blast furnace in the front, but there's no way to pull out. Now, there's several different recipes for steel. The one I'm using is 1 iron ingot to 2 pieces of coal. This will produce 1 steel ingot and 2 tiny pieces of dark ash. So, the next thing we're gonna make is a simple ore generator. this requires 2 nickel plates, 2 small nickel pipes, 1 steel gear, 2 lead coils, and 1 lead motor, along with one of the basic generators. It is a tad bit tedious to create. My biggest tip is to pay attention to what material you are using, as the different parts look pretty similar. So for the setup of the simple ore generators, you need an ore block above and some way to pull out from the bottom. I'm using hoppers for the time, as they can easily keep up. The best ores to be using are either the end or nether, as they give you double the amount once smelted in comparison to the overworld ores. The next thing I set up was the cast mold for glass, which uses 4 steel plates. This is used in the alloy smelter. You also need to make glass dust, which is made using quartz sand and tiny piles of flint dust. The quartz sand you can get from the mortar and sand, and the flint dust you can do the same way with the mortar and flint. And then you just craft down the flint dust into the tiny piles. I'm going to end the episode here, as it is getting a bit long. For the next episode, I'm going to work on getting some villagers set up, as we now have steel to buy spawn eggs. With villagers, I can get the materials needed for expanding AE2. I also want to work on getting some high pressure steam boilers and tools set up, and getting rubber created so that we can make our first circuits and start looking into starting into the LV age. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, feel free to leave any comments, suggestions, or likes below.